Paul Emig and Grant Bills are joining us for the rest of the duration of this episode. It is and instead of just twiddling my balls for 15 minutes, let's just get into the questions. Paul, there's a lot to talk about. We got a new manager. We got an old manager. We got people telling me how to fan about my feelings toward the manager.
I would never.
Jordan Love, I think, looked good. Buck's Twitter is at its all-time worst. Badgers. I mean, Grant and I are both wearing Badgers shirts, and not one more mention of the team will occur.
I got this free at work, and I need to do laundry, so I don't know.
Show me on the Dan Shaney YouTube stream. It looks a little throwbacky.
Yeah.
All right. The old Bucky Badger there.
The old Bucky Badger.
The one that from the wrong angle might look racist in some way, but
it just has connotations. You don't know, like
it's not.
What, but
no, it's not. It just
you look at it and you're like,
wrong angle. So Paul, take it away, my friend.
All right. Craig Counsell had his Chicago Cubs press conference on Monday. I've not said that out loud before. You guys have probably said it many times on your shows. This is the first time I'm saying it out loud in that way. But Craig Counsell had his Chicago Cubs press conference on Monday, which led to a whole slew of new things for us to dive into, which I'm thankful for because we didn't get a chance to do it last week. The one I want to start with is that Craig Counsell said on several occasions, but I'll quote this particular one, "Maybe I underestimated that part of it, frankly," in reference to Brewers fan reaction. Bart, you had some fun tweets about the look in his eyes and during his photo shoot and some other things. I want to ask you this. If Craig Counsell had accurately estimated the reaction of Brewers fans, he would have not done this. If he would have had a correct if you would have done a Brewers fan poll and the Brewers fan poll would have said, "Screw you, Craig," and he would have said, "Whoa, really? That would be the reaction?" Not what I thought, but that's good to know. I'm glad I knew that before making the decision. If he knew it before he made the decision, he would have not made the decision to join the Chicago Cubs. Or
I think
still would have done it.
Still done it because I think he's playing dumb. I think a lot of this, like the whole discourse over the last week, it's like, how quick are these news cycles? Oh, move on already. move on already. It like I'm reacting to what I'm just seeing. Move on already. The guy announces that he's a Cub and move on already. And he said all the same things. I talked about this Tuesday, but he said all the same things that like I would say. Like, oh, well, I've from afar, I've noticed the history and, you know, it's great. Like when you walk in, like that, you say all that bullshit. And he like, it's not, there's so many people that don't want this to be a thing, which is really bothersome. Even if I'm just reacting to a small portion that's just being very vocally loud to me, the amount of people that I've already run into that think that this is nothing, that you would have done the same, you know, equating it to real life work is at an all-time high, and at an all-time, you can't do that. It's not relevant. It's just not relevant. There's so many people that don't want this to be a thing. Craig Counsell, like, oh, well, they might be better without him. Like, this isn't the point. And Cubs fans trying to get in our shit. Like, we're at our own dinner table here discussing this as our own problems. You stay out of this, okay?
Nothing to do with them at all.
You don't understand. Like, the last 8 years of Brewers have been dubbed the golden age of Brewers baseball, right? And Craig Counsell, everything that's happened in the last 8 years with every playoff game, like everything that's happened in the last 8 years, he's been a part of. And in the last 8 years, there's been a tremendous rivalry with the Chicago Cubs to the point of exhaustion, to the point of them faking rainouts, to us doing Wisconsin-only tickets. Like he was at the games. He's well-versed in what a Cubs Brewers, they take over the goddamn park, for goodness sakes. He's well aware of what this is. So it's the fact that somebody who was with us in the bunker all of a sudden like took off his shirt and he was wearing the other Army's like uniform underneath. And then we're like, what the hell? And he's like, you would have done it too for more. Like, what that's my family. Then he's like, I needed this day. Like, everything that he fucking says is a lie. And it's always been a lie. And I can be pissed because he used, like, it's one thing, again, it's one thing to portray what you want in someone. Favre, you are this. Giannis, you are this. It's another thing for them to say it to you. And that's what Craig did. And so that's why it's fucking bullshit. And Cubs fans shouldn't worry about that. Like, that's, oh, it's so funny to watch Brewers fans cry. We're not crying that he went to, like, different. We're not crying that he went to the Cubs. It's not about the Cubs. It's about that he lied to us to then go to the Cubs. So it's about the Cubs, but it's not like a thing where Cubs fans can take a victory lap over. It's not. It's fucking, it's so annoying. And Grant, as somebody who's now cutting their teeth in this profession, you will know that the more feedback you get when you know you're right, that is when it gets the most frustrating. Because I know we're right. And being told I'm wrong is preposterous.
I still think the best analogy that I saw is that it was Hogan joining the NWO.
Hogan. Oh, Hogan. Oh, okay.
Hulk Hogan joining the end. He had it, like, for those who don't care or know, but it's a great analogy. Like, Hulk Hogan was the goodest good guy, baby phase, whatever, in, I think, to that point, wrestling history. It would be like, what would be like the John Cena analogy to that part? It would be like if he joined AEW? I don't know. So I'm going to, Grant, you need to respond to this first, and then I'll dive in. But if Craig Counsell had accurately estimated Brewers fan reaction, as he said, he very much underestimated it. If he had known this would be the fallout, and that his Brewers legacy, and we're going to get into this more in a little bit, would be destroyed to the level that it already has been, it would have made him not choose the Chicago Cubs if he had properly known what the reaction would be. It would have changed his opinion, Grant, or not his opinion, his decision.
My answer would be, I would have answered in the exact same way as Bart, in that I think Counsell knew exactly how this would go. He's smart. Counsell's not stupid. Like, it would be the same if Aaron Rodgers did something and then came around and was like, well, I didn't expect it to. Rodgers is too smart. I'm not buying that.
The fact that he's trying to lie to us still, like, he knows, and he's trying to downplay it and lie. And you could tell how, like, perturbed he was that the Milwaukee media was there. Well, like,
also, it's like, hey, you wanted to stay close to home.
You wanted to stay close. All right, a Monday 11 o'clock press conference. Guess what? Everyone's showing up.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Kurt and Adam are showing up because what else do they have to do?
And there were like local TV cameras. I saw at least
Steph
one.
Sutton showing up. Brandon Cruz is showing up. Grodzky's showing up. These guys are showing up. It's 90 minutes. The same reason that you wanted it. If you want to make Milwaukee a suburb of Chicago, you're getting covered. God, I'm so upset about this. Grant, you had a comment that I didn't get to on the stream. I just saw you pop in, but you were like, I get more like upset with everything I hear him say, or something to that extent.
I feel like I've reached like my level of anger with Counsell, and then I read another quote or I hear him say something else, and I find a new level of anger to reach. I think, Paul, to answer your question directly, he's saying, well, I didn't know, I underestimated, because being ignorant is better than being a dick. And coming across and playing dumb is better than playing a dick. Two comments on what Bart said, and I'll be really quick. But Bart said, Chicago fans, we're at our dinner table. I agree. I see Danny Parkins quote tweeting Lori Nichols' column about how Counsell deserves better than this. It's like, Danny, you don't get an opinion on this. Danny's like, this is a really great column. This is not, no. And I don't mean to gatekeep topics, which I do a lot. My coworkers always tell me I do that. I love to say who can and can't comment on things. This is not a story for Chicago people to be involved with, because this is not your experiences. This is not your life story as a sports fan for the better part of the last decade. And also, Bart, you're right. This is not real life. Like, oh, if you couldn't get a raise to move jobs, it's like,
why do people do that?
If Radio Joe got an offer and a little raise to go work at a fucking Ernie von Schladehorn Automotive to leave a Hyundai West Allis, no one would give a shit because it's cars.
Yeah.
The same. Radio Joe should do that, but that's not the same.
It's not the same.
Those were my additional comments to what Bart said. I would have answered the same thing. He knew exactly how this would go. He just doesn't care.
What did Lori Nichols' column say?
I think it was Rosiak.
I didn't read it. I don't know. I saw Lori Nichols reach. So maybe it was Rosiak's column.
Well, so is there someone though in the Milwaukee media who is saying that Craig Counsell deserves better than this?
I think it was like, what about this point of? I don't know. I didn't read it. I
didn't read it.
You had me all excited that there was someone because okay, so he doesn't deserve better than this. He deserves, and so one of the questions if we would have talked last week that I would have said, and I'm sure you all have discussed it. I'm catching up on my podcast listenings, but if AmFam Field, Miller Park was filled with Brewers fans on May, whatever the day is, when the Cubs visit the Brewers in Milwaukee for the first time, if it was filled exclusively with Brewers fans, won't happen. Yes, I know. This is a hypothetical show that we do together. But like, what percent of those Brewers fans of the 42,000 would boo him? Because I'm worried, as I'm sure you all are.
You say 80?
You think 80% would boo that?
Yeah, I think that's where I would go, but 20% to not boo him is too fucking many.
See, but I'm actually encouraged that you think it's as high as 80% because I'm worried it would be
that might be wishful thinking still.
I still think 80% is really wishful thinking. I like Wisconsin nice and this is still our guy. Or am I underestimating the fury? I have a very good friend who is like can't believe, Bart, that the three of us have the opinions that we do on this because he's like, what? Big deal. And like, I'm like, what is happening? Like, are you ready to join us yet? This is madness. And like, like my dad wants to fly in from Florida to go to the game with me so he can boo vehemently. And I'm like, yeah, Dad, hell yeah, you are the man. And like, I hope it would be 80%. But like, and the thing I think, Bart, I heard you say, as I was catching up on the pods last week, is Brewers fans won't get that chance because no matter how hard like Brewers collective might try on that day in, is it May, right? It won't
Memorial Day.
Oh God, even worse.
And Bart, great commentary last night about the Pat Murphy hire. Now Craig Counsell is going to have a friendly face and a friendly hand to shake. I mean, he's got this laid out for him when he comes back.
Yeah, he knew what the reaction would be. There's no fucking way he didn't.
He's smart.
But then he thought about, well, geez, am I going to come back and get booed? And then he's like, oh, wait a minute. I'm going to go manage the Cubs. We take over this ballpark all the time. What does Craig keep saying about, like, I have relationships and I want to still have those relationships? Like, fuck you.
Fuck your relationships.
And fuck David Ross for calling Counsell.
Yeah, what is that about?
I Counsell got off the hook there too. You're supposed to have that awkwardness of calling the guy and saying, dude, and Ross called him. What the how's Counsell get every fucking way of this thing? Counsell ends up aces.
It reminds me of like the punishment the Astros were supposed to get for cheating was having to go to every single ballpark and get their heads booed, like just the biggest boos ever. And then there was the pandemic season. So the Astros never even got the one punishment that they basically were supposed to get. It's like, no, it's cool. In fact, even when you go to your home ballpark, it'll be Cubs fans anyway. And you'll get to shake the hand of your college coach, who then became your bench coach, who then take over your job. And it's all cool, man. Which actually, the part that I loved, and again, the buddy that I mentioned earlier, who's not with us on this, who is making me infuriated that he's not with us on this, was like, what was it?
The way you said that made it sound like he was dead for a second.
Yeah.
He's not with us on this topic. He's still with us. It was like this idea that, where did I want to go with that? Sorry, I lost my train of thought because I just started getting so. It was just like in general that. So Brett and Tosa, right? Like he's like, I think he's a lot of people's like reference now to like hardcore Brewers fan.
He's my hero.
He's questioning like the thing that he loved the most. He's questioning if he likes it at all anymore.
I would. If
Like,
I didn't have to do the job that I do, I would absolutely, yes.
It's a devastating blow. Like it's not. And by the way, like
I was already there with the playoff structure, with how quick it goes, and now this.
let me ask you this other one real quick, just as a tangent. Craig Counsell referenced the past couple years I've been starting to think about a new challenge.
That's bullshit. What an asshole.
That's an awful comment, right?
Thank
Well, then you look back and you're like, why did Jesse Winker? Well, now I know why. Because he's a fucking asshole.
Yeah, I mean, but it does. I mean, it does at least allow a fan to enter the question of like, I mean, Bart, you've used the analogy, but it's like, so you stayed in the relationship for 2 more years, knowing you weren't gonna be together. Very strongly, more than likely, weren't going to be together in a couple years. You were kind of already looking around and thinking about other options, and I hated that comment too. Okay, let me ask you this. I wasn't planning to, but Pat Murphy or anyone outside of the Brewers organization, as a Brewers fan, I'm not saying Pat Murphy's not the right decision. I don't know. How do we know, right?
Are you asking?
I want to read this comment.
I just want to know if like you would have rather them go really like outside. So go ahead.
I'm first going to read this comment because it's burning a hole in my eyes.
Read it.
I just got it on the Dan Shaney YouTube stream, danshaney.com. I'm getting a lot of people hate watching right now. So numbers are up because Chicago's just watching us and laughing, which, all right. AA Car 88 says, you need to let it go. Stop concentrating on what was. Focus on the future. There will be wins, many wins for a B team, a B-list team like you guys. Plus, look at all the extra Cub fans that keep your stadium full and money flowing your way. If anything, it is given more power to an organization and a fan base that already feels like we're a little tiny bitch. And now they got all us crying, and they think that they did something right when it was just the actions of one very selfish asshole that went to Chicago. Very, very upset. Pat Murphy being hired is probably fine. I hope he manages. Like, I hope I can tell that, oh, this is different. I hope there's something to that. I wanted David Ross or Joe Madden or Ryan Sandberg or Ryan Theriot or Kosuke Fukudomi or fucking anyone Cubs is what I wanted. Most of all, I wanted somebody who, when they like, because it's going to be bullshit. It's going to be bullshit when he's back here. And I wanted someone to like not do the handshake. Like, fuck you. Fuck this. Get out of here, you piece of shit. I want someone who more than ever is one of us, because we thought we had that. It was stolen from us, and we'll never have that again.
You know who I want?
For anyone that thinks that this is the wrong take, you just, like I said yesterday, if you think that this is wrong, you don't care enough to be in the conversation.
You don't get it.
You don't get it. If you don't get it, then don't get it. Then stay away. I'm talking to the people. People are like, why you put your opinions on social media if you don't want your reaction on social? Like, if you don't want reaction, I'm not talking. I'm only talking to the people that get it. If you don't get it, stay out of my fucking way. All right.
You know who would be a great hire for the Brewers? And I actually, based on everything you just said, Bart, where it's like, you want the guy who's going to snub the handshake. You want the guy who's going to treat that 3-game series or 4-game series like it's the most important. Like the other 158, whatever. But this weekend is the weekend we're going to take the series from the Cubs, and you're going to burn a hole through your bullpen. You're going to do everything you can to win those games because they're more important than the others. Brett and Tosa.
Yeah.
You think Brett and Tosa is going out to do the handshake with Counsell pregame? He is giving him the double bird across the dugout, and like it would be like the greatest. And I would wonder, even if it just for the comedic value that Pat Murphy would offer. And I think we know Pat Murphy through his interaction with Tim Allen through the years. Like he's a funny guy. Like Pat Murphy's an enjoyable fella. I like the guy. Even if he just is getting the comedic value out of it, I hope he snubs the Counsell handshake. Like, I don't think, but like
that's worse. No, like
what?
No, anything that makes a joke out of the situation.
Okay, so if he did it,
Cardinals all over again.
Okay, I see what you're saying.
What,
I would.
Colton Wong, yeah. Fuck Colton Wong.
So one thing, and this is my next one for you.
Well, I do want to just quickly mention.
All right,
if I may.
You may.
How many people I'd like to thank for the number of people that over the weekend went to Tupelo Honey with the BART reservation code. It was not dozens, but it was a big enough number that I was like, oh yeah, you guys, this is working. So let's continue that. TupeloHoneyCafe.com. Through November, you can make your reservation there and put Bart or a Bart Winkler show or Winklerverse or fuck Craig Counsell. I don't know if that will go through, but whatever you put in there, make some sort of, let them know Bart Winkler show and you'll get 20%. Don't do the Counsell thing. 20% off up to 6 people on the food items. So you could be getting those sriracha honey chicken waffles that I got, the old school breakfast bowl, the cast iron skillet with the sunny side egg, green tomato salsa, bacon, all that stuff. I am going to, the next time I go there, which should be this week, I'm going to try one of their Southern sodas. I would like to try one of the, like the champagnes. I got to take a week off. So I'll try a Southern soda that they have. It's a good, Southern kind of food, right where you need to be. It is at the corner of Clybourne and Broadway across from the public market. Make your reservations, TupeloHoneyCafe.com. Thank you and thank them for helping keeping this engine go, because it seems like the rest of Milwaukee wants to congratulate Craig Counsell on the way out. And we need this show to stay alive so that someone can hold him accountable.
All right, now I have to ask, because I was curious when you referenced a Lori Nickel column that may not even exist, Grant, but I'm curious for names. Who in the Milwaukee media is playing that card? Like, I don't think anyone.
I think Rosiak just wrote an article like
what you said, like, like not holding him accountable.
Like, Drew Olson.
Yeah. Congratulating him for his great opportunity and not. Yeah. Okay. Is that okay?
Well, I think it's people who have worked in and around these teams for so long, which is why radio's, as a radio guy, this is why radio's tough, is because I think you need a certain level of disconnection with the teams you follow as a radio person or as a podcast person. And I know Bart agrees with this. Like, I think you should have to go to games every once in a while, feel the vibe, like ask some questions in a press conference, like do the thing and show face. But also, like, you can't be best friends with these people, because fans aren't best friends with these people. You can't view it that way. And like Drew Olson's been covering the Brewers for like decades. So I think personalities like Drew are like, well, it's a good opportunity for him. And, what else is he going to say? He can't say anything else. You know what I mean?
So this was a tweet I saw during the Craig Counsell press conference yesterday. And my answer is, and I'll tell you that before I ask it. But
wow, you're breaking the format here.
Just because I think it's going to be a resounding
You think?
Sparky, Steve Pfeiffer, tweeted, Counsell will go down as the most hated guy in Wisconsin sports history before this is all said and done. So Sparky's right. Craig Counsell will go down, maybe has already gone down, as the most hated guy in Wisconsin sports history.
Sparky also had another great tweet, which is going to like really dictate how I feel about Pat Murphy as a manager.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. He said that, basically, I'll just paraphrase it. He said, like, he doesn't want to hear Murphy's thoughts on how Brewers fans should react to Counsell. Like, if Murphy's like, hey, do you think Brewers fans, I think Murphy should say, the relationship that Craig had with the fans is not like, I have a relationship with Craig. Craig has a relationship with the fans. I have a relationship with the fans. I don't need to comment on that one. That's what I would like. If Pat Murphy comes out and being like, look, Craig gave these guys 8 good years, you gotta remember the good time, like, then fuck you. Then immediate loss.
Don't you think Pat Murphy, like, in the clubhouse tongue in cheek, would say, like, fuck that prick? Like, he seems like the type.
That's kind of what I mean with, like, I said, with the handshake thing. Like, I can see Murphy, and might he wink it off as comedy? I don't know, but like, there's There's a big fighter within that Pat Murphy guy. Like, he's,
Yeah.
I don't know.
Most hated? I think it's worse than Favre, but I was young when Favre happened. I was like,
well,
10.
Favre.
Bart and I weren't young, and Counsell is way worse than. I mean, like, again, speaking strictly football career only.
I don't know that he'll be like.
Yes, really? You're debating this?
Well, what he did was worse, but I don't know that he's going to be most hated.
Who is currently the most hated then, or was 2 weeks ago?
I don't know that that's the problem. I think what Bart is getting at is I don't know that Wisconsin fans will hold his feet to the fire like they should for years.
That's what I was asking about the,
But Favre also was like Favre. We're still 8 days into this. Favre, it was, it was a long fucking time, and so the hate built. Like I don't know.
Okay, well then we have yet to see Craig Counsell manage a game for the Cubs. So
that'll be fucking awful.
I was gonna say I'll raise you that. Like, I don't know that, Paul. I don't know that it's because somebody else will be hated more. I just don't know. I think 80% would boo in that first series. Like, he used to be here, now we're booing it. Look at this, we're having so much fun at the ballpark today. Like, 10 years from now, I will be like, fuck that guy with a shovel. And I think a lot of Brewers fans will be like, oh, whatever.
How are people like? How are people? Because someone's arguing to me that Craig did this to reset the manager scale, which he didn't. He did it for himself. He didn't give a fuck. How are people so like? Because that was one of the first talking points that got out there from the pro Craig or whatever crowd. How are people like, oh yeah, I like that, yeah. He reset the manager scale. That was important to him. How do you fucking believe that? Like, what other dumb shit? With all due respect, I feel like any individual that reads that and believes that Craig Counsell thought it was important to leave this relationship for the Cubs because he was looking to reset the manager scale, that he's not doing it for himself, that he's doing it for all future managers. I mean, you've got to be like, I just know you're the dumbest motherfucker. Like you drive off with your gas tank open constantly. You always forget items in the self-checkout lane that they're at the bottom of their cart. Like, you don't have your shit together. You're a moron. If you think that, you're an absolute 100, like you are just, you're not dumb enough that it's going to debilitate you from participating in life and society, but you're just dumb enough that you're fucking annoying for everybody else.
Yeah.
So that leads to my next topic. The most important thing in all of this was that Craig Counsell got to reset the managerial salary. I'm just kidding.
But also, I'd like to congratulate Pat Murphy because by my estimation, he reset the market for bench coaches who took over for their manager after the manager left in the dead of night to join a rival. So talking about resetting markets, that's a more specific market, but congrats to Pat Murphy. I knew that was important to him. It became important to him about a week ago. So that was cool.
Somebody asked me on the stream, or somebody said that Bud getting fired is more impactful than Counsell leaving.
Impactful in terms of wins and losses, or fan like vitriol and like,
I don't know. It just this last week is in a real dumb spot where everybody wants to fire Adrian Griffin and everyone's okay with Craig Counsell. Like, where am I?
You mentioned what you think about Pat Murphy. It's funny because I was cutting celery this morning and I was like, what's my take going to be if he asked me about the Pat Murphy hire? And the words out of my mouth, because I talk to myself a lot, were it's probably fine, which is the exact thing that Bart said. It is probably fine. And I know Brewers fans don't want to.
I wonder why. Yeah, I saw you giggle on that one. I'm like,
the Brewers know what they're doing. Not in every department.
Probably fine. It's whatever.
It's probably fine. They know what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They've made the playoffs 4 out of 5 years in Milwaukee. And I have been Counsell's biggest foot soldier. I think he's awesome. But Mark made some good points in his media availability last week when he's like, we've won a lot of fucking games here. Okay. Like we're not some poverty franchise. We know what we're doing. And I think it's probably fine.
This was the thing I meant to say earlier, but I got so frustrated by it that I didn't get it out. It was, I loved Mark Attanasio's comments about basically like Craig lost us. Craig lost, like, I saw that and I was like, yes, get him. Like, and I saw Brett and Toast had a similar reaction on the social media platform called X. What was your guys' reaction to seeing or hearing that quote for the first time? Cheesy or rallying cry?
I think I said, someone said, who do you root for? Who are you mad at? And I said, whoever's currently faking being one of us least. Like Mark is bitter and he's upset because he got played.
Yeah.
But
he was in Italy.
But regardless of like whatever, because again, guys of his financial status, like they don't lose a lot. Like they don't like get burned like this. This is it's a rare thing to happen. But regardless of like the sincerity level or what his exact message that he was trying to get across, I appreciated that he didn't say, we really wish him well. This is going to be a great opportunity for him. I like that he was just like, no, fuck you.
Yeah, we're planning on winning with the next manager.
Yeah, like I loved it, and my buddy was like, "Oh, this is so dumb. Like, just that's cheese."
Oh, it was a great thing to say.
It's a great thing to say. It fired me up.
I'm not sure that I like.
It fired me up. I was like, "Let's go, destroy this man."
I mean, I made fun of it on Twitter for the interaction because it's just low-hanging fruit whenever it's on Twitter. But I, for the most part, thought it was a pretty good presser. He was a little depressed, but I think he was genuinely sad. I think I know that he felt like his manager stabbed him and the organization in the back out of nowhere. After they extended some good faith, it's like, hey, you don't know what your future is? We'll keep this door open for you. Just keep us in the loop. Don't take forever. And then he didn't keep him in the loop. And he took a lot longer than the Brewers thought, and then he ended up going to the Cubs. So I'd be sad too. So I don't blame him.
Like I've always found it odd, generally, Bart, that like you were the guy when I remember this when you were on 1250, and it was leading into a Vikings Packers situation, and you didn't want to face the Vikings, even though you knew that was a better matchup for the Packers because you more feared the feelings that you'd have of losing to the Vikings than all of that. And I've always kind of found it odd, like that's not how I think. And so I always kind of found those kind of takes interesting. However, there have been two in the past month that have really rallied me. And one is when Damian Lillard went to the Bucks and the national media was like, Drew to the Celtics is a bigger deal. And I was like, this is so nuts that I am going to like go, like I was already cheering for the Bucks, right? Duh. But I was like, this is so dumb. And so ridiculous. I am now investing my full self in this Bucks season because this is lunacy that you clearly, as Bart said, if Giannis and Dame were on the Celtics and then the other guys on the Bucks, you'd say, oh, it's Giannis and Dame. The Celtics are clearly the leg up. But because it's not, so I got really irritated. I don't usually react like that. This Counsell thing, I don't usually care. I don't generally like. I just kind of sports, business, whatever. But I'm so irritated to Bart and Grant's points earlier that he thinks he's like pulled one over on us collectively, is like that this was like, oh shucks, oh, what a nice opportunity for this young man from Whitefish Bay. Fuck you. Like I'm fired up now. Like, and I don't usually get like that about sports. And so it's a deviation for me that there are now two things that I have. And maybe my third one right now is like anyone who could have watched Sunday's Packers game and said, yeah, Jordan Love's the reason they lost. Like, I don't know if that person exists, but like Love is not your problem here. Like, there's some silliness.
Well, it gets personal. Like,
I'm feeling like I'm feeling like it's
like if all these people end up being right about the Celtics,
it will be so annoying, and I will
because they shouldn't be right. And anybody who's not with us on the Counsell thing, I mean, it's like, man, it just sucks. It just sports, like people are trying to say, oh, sports fan's gonna sports fan. And I had a nice little diatribe on the Monday night Tuesday show where I said the human brain is not able to, like, we should not be worried about, like, this is dumb. All of this shit is dumb. Everything we're talking about right now is fucking irrelevant.
Our life is fantastic if this is the thing that is
pissing
us off on the day.
And our wheels keep churning, like life keeps going on. I mean, how many people, like, there are people that, am I going to be dead today? I don't know. Like,
Kyle Shanahan would never know. Could be dead tomorrow.
Yeah, he could be. There's so much, like, so, but we won't let ourselves. So we need something else because we got a lot of pent up anger and frustration and passion. So what do we put it into? We put it in these dumb little things where $40 million players step up with a bat and $8 million managers decide when the pitcher comes out what inning. I mean, it's so fucking stupid. It's all stupid. But it is our thing. And it's like we understand that it's stupid, but maybe we don't. Maybe I'm the only one.
No, I like what you're saying. I resonate with what you're saying. Yeah.
I kind of feel like myself as, like, I don't want to say a god, but I do feel like I have a gospel to share, that I see sports from another dimension or plane, and I just want to enlighten. I don't want to entertain as much as I want to enlighten.
If you're a god, there are a lot of false gods in our sports sphere in the state of Wisconsin.
Many false gods.
Lot to cut through.
Yeah.
Outstanding.
Are
we doing Counsell the whole time? Or
no,
what else are we doing?
No, I want to revisit, and I kind of mentioned it a little bit. I want to revisit Jordan Love because it's been about a month since we have.
Grant basically just said, "Can we stop talking about fucking Counsell?"
I love talking about Counsell. Now I'm like, I still don't know if I'd give Jordan Love the Daniel Jones contract.
Oh wait, I did have one, and I didn't know how to ask it in an for Counsell. But let me see if you guys would be willing to entertain this thought. In the 2023, you can call it 2024 future looking, like if you would have ranked them. If you would have ranked the most important Brewers, and that can include Matt Arnold, that can include the manager. What I wanted to try to understand is where Counsell would have ranked. And let's say
let's talk about Love.
Just hold on. I just want to play with me for 1 minute. And you would have said Counsell is the 8th most important. So then I'd say, okay, who would you? I'm just play with me here for a second. Who would you rather have on the 2024 Brewers? Freddie Peralta or Craig Counsell? Who would you rather have on the 2024 Brewers? Craig Counsell or Garrett Mitchell? Who would you rather have? So where would you like? Who would if you could erase if you could erase the Counsell decision and just trade insert player's name to the Cubs for cash considerations? Who would be the player that you would swap because you'd say the Brewers are better off having Counsell as the manager than having player X? Who's the closest guy in that?
I did this with Bart years ago, but it was through the vehicle of an expansion draft. So, like, if Major League Baseball expanded, how many people would you protect before Counsell?
Well, this is my Eric Spoelstra thing because Spoelstra's a first round pick. But go ahead.
It'd be pretty low.
It would be Woodruff maybe, and that's it. That would be it for me.
Wait, but
no, I'm down to like Rowdy Tellez low. No, so the thing about Counsell is,
if Brandon Woodruff was healthy, you'd have a debate with yourself about whether to keep Woodruff or Counsell?
In a literal sense, no. I was thinking more of the last 4 years, people most important to Brewers baseball.
No. Like, again, you retain Counsell, but you have to give this player to the Cubs instead. And Bart's kind of like at the Rowdy Tellez level of like, well, it's not. I mean, it'd be great to have Counsell back. Again, you strike from the jury the last 9 days of like what you thought you knew and now you didn't know. Okay. So where would that slot then, Grant, knowing the parameters of this silly little game here?
Moving forward?
I think what I want to just say about Counsell while you chew that over is it's not about how he did or how he will do. None of my thoughts are about results. Like, he's been good and he's gotten us, and there's a reason why the Cubs wanted him. But it's not like, oh, well, think of this, you'll be better off now, a new voice, or they never got you. You're going to miss the 1-8 record in the playoffs? None of that shit bothers me. All I care about is that he fucking lied to us, and he's an asshole. That's all I care about.
Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to play coy and dumb, and so he's even a bigger dick. If I'm like, well, I don't know, I don't want to be too hard on the guy. He's being an even bigger asshole.
He deserves it.
I think this is why you, Bart, are so particularly why Aaron Rodgers became like your thing, because you saw through, or thought you saw through, depending on who you might ask.
Definitely did.
Through Rodgers persona, right?
Yeah.
And now the council thing is such a passionate topic because it's like infuriating that there might be people who don't see through it, and so it just further angers
gospel. This is his sermon on the mount.
To use your example, right?
Because I am a very flawed individual. I had such a fun weekend in Pittsburgh, but I did so many things that were just like, what am I fucking doing? Things I would say or act or behave. It's like, really, I'm a terrible person. I'm a good person. I can understand like people's motives to be assholes. And I see through that because I rise above it. But you put a few Captain and Cokes in me.
There it is.
The manager came to the room Sunday night and wanted us to be quiet, and I did not react well to that.
Oh, no.
Oh, God.
But not so badly that you got booted.
I had a spirited discussion with one of my friends.
Care to share? Or
I'm leaving some open space here. Go for it.
No, I just thought I just don't like feeling wronged.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought it was 11 o'clock on a football weekend.
That's late.
And someone complained about dudes laughing.
You're in town on business. You got a meeting in the morning. You don't want to be there. And you got a bunch of yahoos like you screaming in the next room over after the Packers
Then
lost.
you fucking suck it up and drive. You wake up early Monday morning and drive into town.
After not sleeping at all?
When you go downstairs and you see everyone at Continental Breakfast wearing jerseys.
That's true.
You book out of that hotel as quick as fucking possible.
Correct.
Thank you.
I'm just playing devil's advocate. That's all.
Last thing I would say, and then we're going to ask Jordan Love for the last however many minutes, but
5. I have 5 minutes.
The last 5 minutes. I think Bart and Grant, I'm sure you would agree with this about what 1250 was when it was like. I'll particularly mention like because we brought out that Sparky tweet earlier. Sparky, Chuck, Bart. I mean, there were certainly others, but you guys were so Wisconsin fan. Voice of the Wisconsin fan, like that to me. When I think back to like the heyday of the station, it was like there wasn't going to be someone. Well, Rami notwithstanding, but like there wasn't going to be like it was like you guys spoke for, and not because you said I'm the voice of the fan, but like it was just representative because you guys felt it in the same way, and it wasn't faked. And so I just wanted to make that. I'm sure other people listening.
Well, that's why we're so mad about Craig.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm sure that's why.
That's why hosts on remaining stations who constantly put the me in media aren't mad about it. They're like, I don't know why anyone would you calm down? It's just sports. Why are you even mad? Well,
and all that is saying is like, I am not a fan of this team anymore, or never was. Because if your reaction is like tepid and you're like, I don't know, you don't care. Like, because the things that you care about, well, yeah, you don't get it, or
I'd rather care too much than not care enough.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Put that on a Bart Winkler bumper sticker. That and it's probably fine.
All right. There's a lot of ways to ask the Jordan Love question, but I do want to revisit it because while a few weeks ago we discussed and agreed that like in the event the Packers got a top 5 pick and there was a potentially generational quarterback there, you would take the quarterback and all that other stuff. I still think there's like the guy conversation with Jordan Love, but the way I want to approach it is, do you guys know Jacob Westendorf?
I know that name.
Back in the day, he and I did some stuff together with Packers Beat and TV, and I know he works with Bill Huber and Packer Report now, at least as one of his jobs. But he did a poll that got 1,200 votes, and he said, Mark Murphy said about half a season to know what they have. It's been 9 games. Based on that, would you give Jordan Love the Daniel Jones contract, which he put in parentheses, 4 years, $160 million, 81 guaranteed? 60% said no. 20% said just want to see results, and 20% said yes. But overall, 60% said no, I would not do that. And that was coming off a game that, yes, the game-ending interception and like whatever. But like, I left that game being like, man, like Jordan Love is just the furthest thing from my mind is the problem. So
he made some great throws. I've seen enough out of Love where I want him to be the guy.
Yeah, I do too.
Like I want it to work.
I want it to work too.
And I want to be able to give him the Daniel Jones contract. Now, maybe there's other contracts that he could, whatever. But from the poise,
the contract is a better comp.
From the poise to whatever, I do want him to succeed. And I don't want to go through it again. And I don't think we're going to get his low pick that we're going to be like, if we're just turning around and coming back here with JJ McCarthy, that's not going to do it for me. With all
they could get another developmental edge rusher that takes a couple of years.
I want Jordan Love because I've seen enough good there that I want him to succeed. So I'm more of like, yes, give him the contract at the very last possible fucking chance I can. Like kick this can down the road until I know for sure.
What? And let's kick the can. There's 8 games left. That's an eternity for some of these guys.
And we can lame duck his ass next year.
Yeah, but you don't really want to do that.
But you can.
You can. You probably don't want
He signed this contract knowing like what the deal was.
I don't know.
I don't think Jordan Love is going to I don't know why, but I don't think he's going to be like, I think he'll like just take whatever the Packers offer.
Daniel Jones won a playoff game. Like Daniel Jones had more leverage over the Giants compared to whatever we assume Jordan Love is going to have. And kick the can. I had Bukowski on Monday. Pete I know, but I like Pete. I like his takes. I love when he's on this pod. And he was like, it's no coincidence that Jordan Love has looked best the last 2 weeks after some of these young wide receivers start to put the pieces together a little bit. And that can continue to happen. There's 8 games left, which I know like it doesn't seem like that much because we're coming up on Thanksgiving, but an 8-game sample for a lot of players whose career just started is an eternity. That's so much data. That's so much more information we have yet to gather.
I'd say I'm confident, curious, and concerned. I'm confident, speaking of 1250, right? I'm confident that Jordan Love, I don't believe will ever enter the top 8 quarterback conversation in his career. I'm confident that that's probably unlikely. But I'm even more confident that I don't think he'll ever be in the bottom 10 quarterbacks in the league, starting quarterbacks. I think he will hover between 9 and 19. And if that for you as a Packers fan, like if you agree with that assessment,
well, then you can't pay him like he's top 8.
But Geno Smith, Daniel Jones aren't being paid like they're top 8. They're being paid like they're 9 to 19.
I'm not an over the cap guy. I don't know where those contracts fall. I'd have to dig into the numbers, the figures, the data.
Well, I don't know. I know he played good for 3 of the 4 quarters that I saw.
Yeah, I mean, I would say, have you gone back and watched the third, by the way?
No, I haven't had time yet.
Hat tip to Matt LaFleur. The scripted plays worked. Whatever they did throughout the week connected with. I thought Matt LaFleur had a great game. I know you guys are both out on LaFleur. He pushed back on the all 22 fans in his press conference on Monday, which
what an asshole.
I think he was also wrong because like Rashawn Gary sucks against the run. So don't tell me Rashawn Gary lining up outside of a tackle is supposed to help with the run when they're gashing you up.
You're talking about the whole like 2 down lineman debate.
I understand he's a down lineman in that formation, but he's not doing shit against the run, which is the problem.
Who's the most I have to go, but who's the most
Arthur Smith?
No, who's the most well-liked coach in Wisconsin right now? Is it
Pat
Shaka
Murphy?
Smart, Greg Gard, Bart Lundy?
He might be Gard.
I'll give it to Bart Lundy just for being a
like
guy.
It's LaFleur who is a loser. It's Griffin who everyone's just decided you don't get a chance. We hate you.
What about Matt Janis? UWL buzzsawed through the WEAC this year. Are we giving him no credit for that? Janis. Bart, you do have to go, so I won't make this hard for you. This is a good episode.
Are you gonna tell everyone what show you're on next week? Has this been publicized yet?
It don't matter.
Yes, you do this to yourself. Can I be your hype guy? You don't do a good job of your own hype.
You are his hype guy, Paul. You literally already are.
But I want to do it on his behalf more and more, just like more profound.
I'm guest hosting the Tonight Show for a week. Just kidding. I'm filling in for Rome on Friday.
The Jungle. Clone.
Yeah.
I've done every show.
But not that one.
There's something different than saying I'm filling in for Rome.
That's big, man.
That's Friday of Thanksgiving. No one's going to be listening.
See, but you do this to yourself. No,
well, that's just general radio rule. I mean,
don't discredit yourself.
But there will be also like the CBS Sports Radio audience is familiar with me, but then there's a different Rome audience that's going to be like, who the fuck is this guy?
I mean, as someone who listened to that show 15 years ago and not in the past 15 years, I look forward to like you going out and like Tony in Texas is talking to Bart Winkler on the Jim Rome show. That'll be great.
I should make sure that people call in.
Of course you should. Here's your initial rally.
Like if you guys ever, yes, that's what I want. I just want a steady stream of calls from all the same guys that pop on here. Let's get your asses on the Jim Rome show.
Go to the jungle. It's a guy named Hot Take Jake. Jake, what do you got?
Q, God love him, would not fit in that crowd of callers when everyone's calling in and be like, Brian, what an awful take. I mean, just a complete moron. And then Q hops in and is like, Adrian Griffin, I'm patient with him.
But Matt and Jake and Tony would be very good in that setting.
Matt.
All right, well, I got to go. All
right, goodbye.
End of the episode. Thank you guys both.
It's probably fine. Thanks.
It's probably fine.